And we are live. What's going on, everybody? I am Adam. This is Highly Articulated. And there's a lot going on this week. There's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of reveals that are like relevant to me. There's reveals that were sort of outside of the companies that I work with and work for, and sort of am part owner of. So there's lots to talk about. That being said, there's also an amazing 24-hour stream going on over at Toying Around. The Enablers are doing a 24-hour show. They're well into it. They started last night at, I want to say about 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So they're going for a few more hours. I'm going to be relatively quick. I'm going to try to go for about an hour, and then strongly recommend that you guys head over there and make some donations to the St. Jude's Children's Hospital, or pop over there right now, make a donation, come back, whatever works for you. But I'll put a link in the chat at the end, so that you guys know exactly where to go, because if you weren't aware, you may be disappointed. Brick Something already did the news earlier this morning, so if you didn't catch that, you'll have to catch it on the replay. But there's no Brick news after this, so you have more opportunity to jump over onto the Toying Around 24-hour charity stream. But as I said, there's plenty of news. So we'll definitely get into that. What I realized was I may as well just throw it into the chat now, and then I can always post it again later, because why not? So there it is. There's a link to the stream. Right now, the ACBA guys are on. We've had the Enablers on. We had the Toy Daddies on there. We've had Toy Farce. We had Kyle Lotiga doing some sketching, some drawing, live. There's been live video games. There's been a whole bunch of fun stuff. They've been going all night. I didn't. I went to sleep because I'm not involved with that. I got enough stuff keeping me awake at night. But yeah, Josh Brown makes a very good point. $10 donation gets you spots for some great prizes as well, and there's a lot of prizes already, and sort of more. There's sort of like unlock prizes and stuff, so pretty crazy, and for a good cause. So go check that out. All right, let's jump into the chat, say hello to everybody, and then I will get into what's going on and what's sort of relevant in my toy world, and and then we'll see where we're at. Brian Carr is here, said just grabbed 5 more AWOK and I'm fully down the rabbit hole now. Looking forward to all the new releases, and also the Bushido line. Keep killing it. We're going to be talking about Animal Warriors of the Kingdom. We're going to be talking about Bushido. We're going to be talking about Space Zombies from Mars. And I'm even going to talk about, 2 other toy lines. So I'm going to have to get through these all pretty darn quick. Justin Mohan is here, speaking moistly. Nolan is officially here. We can begin. Ray Paz is here. Good to have you guys all. Larry Reed, Solo Sinner. Jeff Morris as well is in the house. So we will begin by welcoming also JMax77. Now we'll begin with Spiro Toys. So the Spiro Toys Black Friday sale was, of course, on Black Friday. Now it was very, very successful. It was, I think a lot of people got some really cool stuff. The only problem was a lot of people didn't realize it was one day. And so, in the spirit of giving, in the spirit of thankfulness, Spiro had intended to do a January sort of warehouse clearance sale, but why not open it earlier, right? So what I will say is this: the details will all be revealed, once the thing goes live. And I think if you're in the AWOK Facebook group, you might see them Monday or Tuesday as well. But essentially, the prices won't be quite as good as the Black Friday prices for some of the figures. But some of the things that weren't on sale during the Black Friday sale will actually be on sale now. So the headset packs are getting absolutely blown out. The armor packs getting blown out. Waves 1, 2, and 3 will be pretty well discounted, like figures under $30. So definitely worth checking it out. And as I said, if you missed the Black Friday sale because it was in fact just Friday, this might be your second chance. Maybe somebody needs a gift. Maybe you could buy one for a friend, buy one for a loved one, buy one for someone you hate. I mean, at these prices, it's still worth it. There's going to be some pretty good discounts. Now, if you are, if you're like me and you're in Canada, I will tell you this: the Canada Post strike shouldn't affect the AWOK sale in sort of two ways. There, you can actually pick a shipping option, and I can't remember what it's called now. It's Ascendia, full postage and duties paid something. And if you pick the wrong one, I'll flag it and then I'll let you know, or I'll just change it if it's like the same price. Or you can get around that by just hitting up ecollectibles.ca. They've got all 4 waves in stock. They've got everything out in stock. They don't ship with Canada Post, so you'd still be able to get it in time for Christmas. And there's free shipping. So honestly, the way that the math works out, if you pay for stuff from spirotoys.com and pay for shipping, you're probably not getting as good a deal as you might to just order them from ecollectibles.ca. So, something to consider. But, try both. Do the math, figure out which one works best for you. As I said, waves 1, 2, and 3 will be on sale. All the accessories up till now will be on sale. Wave 4 will not be on sale just yet. But stay tuned because they may be, in the new year at some point. And while you're there, get some t-shirts, get yourself a hoodie. Very comfortable hoodie. I've got this one. I've got a purple pullover one. I've got t-shirts for every day of the week, which I kind of didn't realize that I had done, but I think I actually have 9 of the t-shirts. They're nice t-shirts, so pick some of those up while you're there. Let's see. Yeah, that is Larry Reed. Yeah, Morgan Lofting passed away this past week. Who was sort of famously the voice of Baroness in the G.I. Joe cartoon. The ones like in December seem to like hit harder. It's like the worst time of year. It kind of feels like, my condolences to the family because that's like the worst. It's bad all the time, but around this time of year is even worse. So, Justin Mohan, will the zombie line? Oh, actually, sorry, Justin, you asked this. What companies do you own? So, the Nameless Toy Company, which is doing zombies, is the company that myself and Arlen Pelche own, as well as Ira Pelche. So we'll talk about the zombie line in a minute, because there was sort of a pretty big reveal there. There was a pretty big reveal in Bushido as well, and I'm definitely going to talk about those. So we'll get there. We'll get there for sure. Justin Mohan says AWOK needs a Boxing Day sale. I am probably going to be pushing for that as a Canadian, because I love Boxing Day. Black Friday's fine, but I mean Boxing Day is better because you get your Christmas check from your grandma, and then you can go and buy cool toys. Speaking Moist says, does eCollectible have the sale? They don't have the, they don't get a sort of sale of Spirit Toys. They had a Black Friday sale, and I don't know whether or not they're going to have a Boxing Day sale. But as I said, sort of the way the numbers kind of work out, if you're in Canada, eCollectibles is probably at the end of the day, by the time your figures are in hand, probably still the cheapest way to get Animal Warriors of the Kingdom in Canada. Brian Brink is here as well. Let's see. Let's see. No, this is the one I was going for. Speaking Moistly said I could not get any of the Black Friday stuff because I got a new puppy. And presumably the puppy would eat it, is what you mean. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I well that's there you go. I mean, you need a Boxing Day sale for sure. But maybe, maybe the Spiro Toys sale will work for you. Maybe it won't. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how close to puppies can be expensive, man, because you got to buy all this stuff too. You got to buy the food, you got to buy the sweaters because it's Christmas for your puppy. Um and this is a good point, Justin Mohan. E-collectibles might be tax free for Christmas. Not for this stuff, it won't, just because of the like tariff codes and stuff like that. The tax free stuff is basically for certain toys. It's for groceries, on and on and on. But we're not. I'm not here to talk about that. So, and Speaking Moist says e-collectibles is the cheapest way most of the time. You're absolutely right. Like it's with the exchange, with the shipping, with all that kind of stuff, e-collectibles is almost always going to be the cheapest way to go, which is why I buy all my stuff from them, to be perfectly honest. Okay, moving on from the Spiro sale, which, as I said, is coming up on Wednesday. So, stay tuned for news on that. I'll be talking about it again next week too. We'll talk more about pricing and stuff like that. We'll go through, everything that they have on sale. But that's for next week. This week we got a Marvel Legends live stream, which I would say for the most part didn't interest me too much, but there was some things that I was pretty excited about. So this is from Toy Arc. So I'm looking at toyarc.com, and they had coverage of the Marvel Legends live stream recap. This is the recap. This picture really sort of encompasses the only stuff that I was really that excited about. So the X-Men waves are the ones that I get excited about. Now, of course, the Age of Apocalypse Gambit had been revealed already on Instagram, and it sort of made the rounds through social media. That one I'm definitely going to get. I love Age of Apocalypse. I scaled down my Marvel Legends shelves, but I still have an Age of Apocalypse X-Men shelf. So I definitely need this guy. Fabian Cortez, I think, is a pretty cool figure as well. Other than that, I'll be perfectly honest, I don't know that I'm going to pick anything up from this wave. Nightcrawler is my favorite character, and to be perfectly honest, I really do want this one, because that uncanny X-Force look, the gray and black suits look phenomenal. But I took the rest of that team off my shelf quite a while ago, and I don't foresee myself putting it back up. The Generation X, you get Husk back here. It's not the Husk that I wanted. I'll be perfectly honest. I wanted something more grotesque. But that's what we got. But lots of good figures in here, and I don't know that a lot of people are really, really excited about Marrow as well. I'll scan down here to look at some of these pictures. There was a bunch of Spider-Man stuff as well. I don't really collect Spider-Man stuff because there's just too much. Now this is a pretty cool reveal, actually. The Savage Land Charles Xavier was a cool reveal. Again, if you love the Savage Land stuff, I think it's probably like a day one purchase. It is a Target exclusive, which is a bit of a bummer, but I don't know how hard it's going to be to get. The last few haven't been that hard to get. When they pulled these up on the desk, I was like, oh, we're getting the Build-A-Figure as a single release. Not quite, not yet. Okay, so I got to wait for that one. But yeah, other than that, some great figures, but nothing that I need. As I said, the Fabian Cortez looks good. But do I need it? No, because there's way too much other cool stuff, coming through sort of the lines that I'm sort of actively collecting and actively buying. But this figure does look really, really cool. And if I was, going hard on Marvel Legends, I'd probably pick it up. Age of Apocalypse Gambit, like I said, instant buy. This guy, I'm on the fence. So this is like this is the newer pinless Nightcrawler. with the sword. I didn't get the boxed set version of this. Ah, I'm torn. I really love Nightcrawler, but I really want the Age of Apocalypse one. I don't know that I need this one. You know what I mean? And as I said, I've already pulled that team off the shelf, so I don't know. I don't know. I do like the figure though. Looks pretty cool. As I said, Husk, is pretty basic. I kind of wanted more. The Generation X stuff that I sort of love was the fact that it was much more. They were more like monsters in a way, like it was sort of the X-Men leaning into the more monstrous side of mutations. Um and the art was like wild, and so far we've gotten two females with virtually like none of that, and then Chamber. um so they haven't done enough to sell me on the Generation X stuff. And I think you can still get the other two like pretty heavily discounted. So, you know, it doesn't make me think that I won't be able to get this one on a discount. Um, yeah, she's angry, but I don't know. Um, yeah, anyway, moving on from Husk, we get another Wolverine. Do you need another Wolverine? I don't. I'm good. We have so many Wolverines. This is a cool Cyclops. This is like this is the X Factor Cyclops, I think. I'm not 100% certain, but this is sort of that I think early 90s, he had this suit. They already did this one with the white, I think, but again, another Cyclops. He's catching up to Wolverine in sort of the number of figures that they're releasing. I do like that blast effect though. That's pretty cool. Definitely not enough to grab this figure. But it's a good looking figure. It's fine. It's another Cyclops. I don't know. Like I said, if there's probably somebody that buys all the Cyclopses, but again, then they pulled this guy up on the table. Nothing to do with a reveal. This was just a figure that they've already released, but that was just to sort of get Marrow out there. So there's Marrow, looking cool with all the sort of protruding bone bits that she can pull off and use as weapons. I think this is a really cool figure. Do I need this figure? No. Great post shots though. This has been brought up multiple times. Like some of the post shots, like that's pretty phenomenal. Like that you can get her in that sort of low crouched superhero pose. That looks really, really good. But then again, it is a pretty basic figure, so the articulation is not going to be super, super hard. But what it also means is if you have that sort of newer double jointed, elbows, double jointed knees, female buck that they're using, you could probably get that figure in that pose too. So the Nemesis build a figure I think is sort of the standout, but I can't justify the whole wave just to get this. Again, it's a version that I don't necessarily need. If they did the Age of Apocalypse version of this, I'll be honest. When they revealed the Age of Apocalypse Gambit just before the stream, so the stream was announced a while back, but just sort of in the build up to the live stream, I think it was on December 6th, like it was on Friday. And I think on Wednesday they released Gambit. And no, it must have been longer. Or when was it? I don't know. Anyways, I really wanted another Age of Apocalypse wave. But we only get one figure. That's fine. I'll just get one figure. But this guy looks pretty cool. Marvel's Nemesis is what they're calling him now. He has had a few names. Some of them, yeah, not so politically correct anymore, not so sort of favorable. But as I said, the Age of Apocalypse version of this character was the one that I was hoping for, and that I still do hope for. in in an Age of Apocalypse wave with an Age of Apocalypse build a figure. I think that would be fantastic. Super cool character, super cool figure. I like the flaming skull, which appears to have an articulated jaw as well. You can see, like, in that picture, the jaw is open, and then when we skipped here, the jaw is closed. So I think I think we're definitely going to get this again as like a single release, and I may pick it up at that point. But as far as a build a figure wave, I'm okay with not getting the whole wave. Like I said, I'm going to get that Gambit, and I think that's going to be it. So let's see. Justin said eCollectibles might be tax free for Christmas on some things, but it's not like they don't get to pick. Like, certain products will be tax free. If they do all tax free, that's great, but that'll be on them. They'll still have to pay taxes. So don't necessarily get those confused. Larry Reed says the taxes free stuff are for toys that are 14 and under. Yes. So Hasbro stuff, I think, qualifies. Most Mattel stuff qualifies. But then when you get into Animal Warriors of the Kingdom or Savage Crucible or Mythic Legions or most of the lines, most of the collector lines, if you want to call them that, most of them will not have the discount. They won't be tax free. But it is what it is. I mean, that's that tax-free thing. Like I said, I'm not here to sort of talk about what it is and what it isn't and whatever. Solo Center says eCollectibles has great customer service too. Absolutely, they do. Yeah, they're fantastic. Larry Reed says, love the Spider-Man wave. There's a lot of great figures there. Absolutely. They it's just not something that I collect. Ryan Carr says, when is AWOK Series 2 Wave 1 expected to ship? It'll be summer 2025. So it's not going to be for a while. But the idea of having, a warehouse clear out sale is to make room for it so that we're not sitting on older product longer than we need to, because at that warehouse, we actually pay for the space. So if we can clear out pallet space and sort of bring in new stuff, our costs don't go up. So it's, help us help you. Let's see. Speaking Moistly says, I might get the Caveman guy. He's already out. That figure is out. That's the Kazar figure that came out of 2 or 3 waves ago now, I think, at the rate that Marvel Legends comes out. What's going on, Allison? Good to have you here. Let's see. Speaking Moistly says, nobody likes Cyclops. Raypaz says, I love Cyclops. I'm right there with you. I always liked Cyclops. I don't really get the hate. I mean, I do get the hate sometimes, but he's fine. Ray Pass says it's ultimate will be someone wants him. I'm sure they do. I just, it's Wolverine's not my guy. Again, loved Wolverine, grew up, reading the comic books. Fellow Canadian, former member of Alpha Flight. So I love him. But I don't need 37 versions of them. I was going through my Marvel Legends fodder bin yesterday, actually, believe it or not, when I was sort of tidying up my office. And I think I had like 4 versions of Wolverine in there that have just never even been on my shelf, that either came in a 2-pack or, it came in a Build-A-Figure wave or whatever. There's just too many. There's just too many Wolverines. Now, if this is the Wolverine that you want, then that's awesome. That's great, because this checks a box. I don't think this one's been done before. So cool. Justin Mohan says, I get all the Wolverines and Spider-Man stuff, and that's it for Marvel Legends for me. So there you go. Justin gets one thing, I get the other thing, Ray Paz gets another thing. So everybody's happy, you know? So anytime somebody goes, "Oh, who would buy that?" There's one of us does, you know what I mean? Like there's always somebody that buys it. It's not like they're just making these things with sort of no intended market or sort of no intended customers. So I don't really get when people say, "Oh, nobody wants this." That just means you don't want it. It doesn't mean nobody wants it. Allison Troy says the ladies are amazed. The rest is kind of a pass. Well, I mean, yeah, I love, me. I love my female figures. I love to get the ladies in the lines. If they're characters that I need, if they're figures that I need. Um, Coral is on my desk right now. This is a great figure. Super excited about this one. Tried to do an unboxing of this and a quick review. Didn't work out. But yeah, this is a great figure. You get the earpiece and sort of the earpiece, and then that sort of pretty tech, I guess. It's been around forever, but this sort of communication sort of collar necklace thing. I don't know what you call it, but anyway, really, really great figure. As I drop her, I got my Glenda figure with the HasLab. I haven't even opened it yet, but I'm sure it's a great figure because it's based on this one, which is based on Scarlet right there. So yeah, I love to get those figures when they fit. I don't just necessarily buy them, but Ray Pat says that's a nice build a figure. I think it is. I think it's a really nice build a figure. But again, as I said, I would prefer the Age of Apocalypse version, so I don't really need that in my collection. Um, Speaking Moistly says Bone Lady is the only one for this wave from this wave that I would get. She looks fantastic. Don't get me wrong. Like if you're just sort of picking and choosing Marvel Legends based on sort of how they look and stuff like that, that one would be at the top of my list too, for sure. So, um, Thanos says very stoked for the Marrow, which is the Bone Lady. Um, so, um, let's see. Let's see. Allison Troy says Wolverine is the Mandalorian um of Batman of the Jedi Knight Luke. Yeah, it's Wolverine is definitely Wolverine, Spider-Man, Batman, Mandalorian, Luke Skywalker. These are just like perennial favorites where they can just keep pumping out more and people will just keep buying more. Because it's one of those things where we kind of go, do I really need another Snake Eyes? Snake Eyes is the G.I. Joe one. Do I really need another Snake Eyes? And the answer for most people is no, I got like 3. I don't need another one. I buy all the versions of Snake Eyes that they do in the classified line. That's the character that I buy, every version of. But if you're not buying every version, that doesn't mean that every version isn't going to sell, right? Again, this is that thing of, oh, I have Snake Eyes, so I don't need this one. Yeah, fair. But somebody might be coming into the line. Somebody might be buying it as a gift for somebody else. Somebody might be on and on and on. There's all these reasons. And Snake Eyes is without a doubt the most iconic G.I. Joe, character. And so they're just going to keep making more Snake Eyes figures. And people are going to keep buying them. That's going to be the same with Batman. It's going to be the same with Wolverine. It's going to be the same with the Mandalorian. I think at least for a while, we're going to get crossover stories. We're gonna get the movie, so it just it works, right? But if it doesn't work for you, that's fine. Who is that Joe woman you just showed? That's Quarrel. Allison, don't worry. I have Glenda for you. I haven't forgotten. I have your name is on it. I have 2. So one is for me and one is for you. I haven't forgotten. You will get Glenda. But yes, Canada Post is on strike. So the cheapest, most effective way to get it to you doesn't exist at the moment. So it'll probably not be till the new year that I get it to you. And by new year, I mean I'm going away in the new year, and so I probably won't be till mid to end of January. But don't worry, I've got your Glenda. I thought I had my Glenda in a box right next to me, but I don't. But anyway, um, let's see. Let me just catch up here on the comments, and then we will move on to um, the next little piece of news here. Yeah, this is a good point. I don't collect. Brick says I don't collect Marvel Legends, but I love it. So hard for Marvel to please everyone. There's so much history to these IPs. They got to find that balance. Yeah, and there's always going to be deep cuts where somebody goes, "Oh, why don't you make this particular suit of this particular character that appeared in one issue of a comic book, but they were a guest in somebody else's book?" And it's like, well, because there's 87 other versions that we need to do, and it's on the list, but it's not there. There's actually a version of Wolverine that I still want. There was a Toy Biz, Weapon X Wolverine, where he's in a black suit with gold, and he comes with a bunch of knives, and he's got these goggles, and I thought that was such a cool character when I was a kid. I loved that figure. And if Marvel Legends puts out that version of Wolverine, I thought it'll be a day one buy. I'll buy that in a heartbeat. I don't even know the reference material. I don't know what that comes from. I know that was, when he was sort of doing a Weapon X type thing. I think he was on a mission with Maverick and Sabretooth or something like that, but I couldn't tell you what comic book it was from. I couldn't even tell you the title of what it sort of a reference to. But that figure was so awesome. But there you go. And that's kind of exactly what I'm saying, is that like that's a version that I remember from my childhood, but I don't even know what the reference material is. So what are you gonna do? Geek Fusion TV says there's always room for more evergreen characters like Spider-Man, Wolverine, Captain America, Punisher, Batman, Superman, Snake Eyes, Storm Shadow, and more. Absolutely. Every time they come up with a new version, I'm like, good for them. I mean, like, keep it going. If somebody's still buying it, in a weird way, it's sort of like if they can put out if McFarlane can put out another version of Batman, then clearly the sales of Batman are still good, because if they weren't, they'd stop doing it. It's that's the business of how this works, right? So anyway, moving on. Ray Pass says, like Solo from the Spidey books. I want that character. I have no idea who that character is. I don't even know who that is. Collecting Brother says, can't believe we missed covering the zombies this week. We will be next week for sure. Have a great show. All right. Thank you, John. If you need any images, let me know. I can send you the higher def pictures. Yeah, that's totally true. One person's version of the evergreen character is another person's, huh? What's that version? Or in some cases, like, who's that character almost? Geek Fusion. There you go. We need Solo and Cardiac, and I don't know either of those. So, anyways, moving on from evergreen characters, or I guess from sort of those evergreen characters to sort of another evergreen character, maybe. Again from Toy Arc, this is Naughty or Nice collection for 2024. So this is the newest wave of figures from the Naughty or Nice line, which I have been graciously gifted a bunch of the Santas, and I absolutely love them. I mean, they're super fun, super cool characters. You want to talk about evergreen? I mean, if there's a more evergreen character than Santa, I don't know, but this is, as I said, the Naughty or Nice, the latest wave, the latest offering that they're doing. I have mixed emotions on a lot of these. This is, of course, sculpted by Arlen Pelche, my partner on Space Zombies from Mars. And when I say my partner, I mean he did all the design, and I'm just the email guy. But there's some cool stuff in here, but they're like, okay, let's start here. Santator, which I think he should have been called Santor. That's my first nitpick. It's not a complaint. It doesn't I'm not complaining about these. If you love these, great. They're cool. They're fun. This would fit, with your Mythic Legions. This would fit with your Lord of the Rings, or sort of similar stuff. I felt like those reindeer were a little undersized, and I feel like as a result, the proportions feel a little bit off. His legs feel a little too skinny, given the size of his torso and his arms. But nonetheless, I think these are like $50, which I think is a pretty good price for what you're getting. Um, the accessories are cool. I love these gauntlets. I'll be honest, like I want a lot of the parts here. Like I want the bow, the arrow, the gauntlets, this head sculpt, the quiver. It looks really good. We'll see. I'm not pre-ordering it right away, but I could see myself pre-ordering it. We get the kids, so the Naughty or Nice kids. These are about 4 inches tall. Fully textured to get that sort of warm, cozy, jammy look. I'm probably gonna get a couple of these. I'm hoping. Now, if Arlen watches this, I hope he understands that this is not a criticism of his work. I think he's a great sculptor. These heads are creepy. These children's heads are nightmare fuel. Um, I I don't know what it is about them. There's like an uncanny valley thing for sure. Um, but but the body looks fantastic. The articulation is good. So they're fun figures. I just those heads. I'm really hoping they look better in person. I'm really hoping that in plastic form that translates better, because those heads, like I can't look directly in their faces. The sleigh is awesome. I think the sleigh is really, really cool. I think the sculpt looks fantastic. The detail work on it is fantastic. I love that you can set it up with one reindeer or multiple reindeers. I genuinely hope that it's sort of modular in a way that you can set it up with like 2 or 4, because I think they picture it with like 1 or 8. But I really hope that there's a way to kind of configure it so that if you only get, say, 2 or 4 reindeer because you don't have space or budget for 8 reindeers plus a sleigh, that it'll still work. Pirate Santa, or sorry, Zombie Pirate Santa is pretty awesome. There's a whole lot of fun stuff going on here. This is one I don't need. I did get Zombie Santa, which I absolutely love. I think it's really, really cool. Pirate Santa, I think, is going to be super popular. And so you kind of get 2 figures in one here for me. You get the Zombie Pirate Santa, but you also get the alternate head sculpt for Pirate Santa. So, if you lean more towards the pirate than the zombie, great. If you love pirates and zombies, this is a real win for you. Cramputar, again, proportion wise, I think those legs, those hooves look a little on the small side. But that's really my only nitpick. I like that we get a new alternate head there, which looks pretty wild. The Krampus head sculpt here is pretty wild as well. I think, if I'm not mistaken, both of the head sculpts are new. I think they're different from the Krampus head sculpt that we got already. So, nope, there we go. The flaming hooves, I think, is a pretty cool touch. I believe those come off, so he doesn't have to always be flaming. But as I said, pretty cool figure. And then we get more of the children. And again, there are 4 children, and none of them, like, they all have that weird creepiness to them, which is ugh. But like I said, the figures look great, and I think I'll get them just to have like kids for sort of this display, and like this, for the line, it makes a ton of sense. Um, Here you go. This is sort of like more of a high tech Santa thing going on here, with dials and buttons and things like that. So it's it's I like it. I like the sleigh a lot, and I think the sleigh is for me the highlight of the wave for sure. A couple more kids. This one's a little bit less creepy. I'll be honest. This is the least creepy of all of them. Um, but yeah, that's there's something. There's like a Megan thing. Was that the movie with the doll, the robot girl? It's called Megan, right? There's like a Megan thing going on. It's like an uncanny valley thing. And as I said, I think given what I've seen from Arlen in the past, I feel like maybe there's just something about the render that just doesn't translate, and I'm just hoping that it looks better in person. As I said, there isn't one that doesn't look creepy. This one is the least creepy of the four to me. Didn't mean to do that. Sorry. There we go. But yeah, the sleigh, the centaurs, I think are pretty cool. And if you're into the naughty or nice line, I think these are going to be sort of cool additions. Even if you got like one Santa, get one kid, and then I think it kind of works. But I mean, do what you want. You don't have to listen to me. You don't have to get anything. What am I talking about? Buy what you like. If you don't want these, you can go buy, you can go buy a Kali. Let's see. The kids are creepy and not needed. I don't know. I mean, I think it kind of fits the line. You know what I mean? Like I don't know that I don't know anybody that's like not buying the Santas that would like rush out and buy these children figures, if that makes sense. But I think for the line it kind of makes sense. Like if you're and if you're into toy photography too, I think, this time of year, this, there's like you could use this, right? You could use the children in toy photography, and they're just kind of fun. It's just a little bit different, right? So, um, Allison says most kids are creepy, to be honest. Yeah, you're not wrong. And Solo Center says, yeah, children tend to be creepy in general. So there's that. And Brick said, yeah, the kids' heads are creepy. Yeah, they are. I don't know. I just, like I said, I just genuinely think that like there's probably just something lost in the translation there. I'm just hoping that they look better in person because, as I said, I kind of want two of them just to have them. We need a polar bear Santa. Now, do you mean a polar bear with a hat on? I don't know. What do you mean by that, Justin Mohan? Let's yeah. Thanos says, I'd love to get the sleigh and all the reindeer, but I just can't. Like I said, get the sleigh and get 4 reindeer. Get 2. Get what get 1. They show it in the picture with 1 pulling it, but that looks off to me. Or get 3. Actually, you could get 3, right? You could have 2, and then you could have Rudolph in the front. Let's see. That's yeah, exactly. They look like ventriloquist dummies. Children of the Corn vibes. The light-haired kid's skin tone also strikes me as odd. Oh man. Alberto Morales says, love the head sculpt on them kids. Well, yeah, okay, moving on. We won't yeah, I mean, there's a use for them. Brick says, how are their articulation? They're similar. So it's single jointed elbow, single jointed knee with rotation. There's ankle rocker. So it's similar to the Santas and stuff like that. But he says we need kid figures. Yes, that's what I'm saying. They're just hopefully the head sculpts look better in person. Yeah, there you go. I'm aware that Alberto Morales says, I'm aware that kid head sculpts are hard to execute, but I use them in toy photography with their backs facing the camera. There you go. They did up the articulation over the elves. So the elves are 5 POA and these have more articulation than that. So I wanted them to do some snowmen who could kick butt, says Justin Mohan. Well, maybe. I mean, if this line keeps going, there's only so many Santas you could do, right? So maybe they'll move into snowmen, maybe they'll move into, other winter stuff. Um, Geek Fusion TV, I would love to see a company focus on other holiday related horror figures like Cannibal Cupids, serial killer Easter Bunny, and a maniac anamorphic Thanksgiving turkey. Um, I would like to see that too. I don't know if I'd buy it, but I think it would be fun. Um, Christopher Bouchard says, any news on your new line? Yes, we will get there. That is a good segue. Let's move over, not to my line just yet. First, we are going to share some Bushido stuff. So, for anybody that wasn't aware, Ray Paz, I'm looking at you. Death Metal Dan Art, who is, of course, Dan Mitchell, who is a very prolific sculptor, does tons of work for a bunch of people other than Animal Warriors of the Kingdom, is now doing his own toy line, which is, of course, Bushido. So we have already looked at this guy, which is, of course, the samurai. We have already looked at the bounty hunter, which is this guy, not Zoro. As if. But unannounced, unbeknownst to Dan, unbeknownst to me, unbeknownst to anybody, Jason Bienvenu of Spiro Toys was on Chat Migos the other day, and just sort of dropped this guy randomly. So this is the Oni from Wave 1. So this is the blue Oni. That head sculpt, like, how good is that head sculpt? There's texture to the whole figure. Like, I've seen the work in progress for a while now, and I've been hounding Dan to let me show this, to let me show off what he's done. He kept saying no, no, no. He said no last Sunday, and then on Wednesday, Jason showed this. So I was just like, wait, what's going on here? Dan was telling me that we weren't allowed to show it yet, and Jason was like, screw it. I'm going on a video and I'm gonna show it. So here he is in all his blue glory. The first Oni in the Bushido wave. So he's this big monstrous. He's going to be I think just over 8 inches to the top of the horn. On this figure, he's got his wooden sandals. He's got his big giant club. He's got his gourd. There's like his furry bit under here with the rope and the beads. Alternate head sculpt. The alternate head sculpt I really, really like. It's got a broken horn. It's got a broken tooth. There's the back of the figure. So this the club kind of splits in two, and that's how you get it into this little piece here, which will plug into the back. So it's pretty cool. I believe the gourd like attaches onto the belt as well. So I think the plug in the gourd comes out, and then you can loop it through the belt loop there, and then so he can carry all of his stuff, which I think is phenomenal. I mean, like, how cool is this figure? So good. I'm so excited about this line. I can't wait to get this stuff. Here's the size comparison, as I said. So the Samurai is about 6 inches tall. It's going to be Marvel. So this is effectively like Marvel Legends scale, G.I. Joe classified scale, that 6-inch scale. So the Samurai is about 6.2 inches to the top of the skull and a little bit more with the helmet. The Oni is 7.8 inches to sort of the top of the skull. With hair, it's a little bit taller, and then with the horns, it's a little bit taller. 8.1 to top of the horns. That does, of course, include the shoes and the horns, but he's still, easily a full inch taller, even if you didn't have those. But he does have those; they're sculpted on there, so that's sort of that's that, right? So, but yeah, absolutely thrilled about these. Can't wait for these to get put up for pre-order, which, at this point should be happening soon. I don't know the exact date of the pre-order for these yet, but as I said, the first wave is 3 figures. All 3 figures have been revealed. The sculpting's all done. So now it's just a matter of getting them priced out and getting production going, and then they'll go up for pre-order. So very, very excited about these. I know that a lot of other people are as well. So yeah. Let's see. Let's see. Brick said, "Great. So the kids move better than the elves." Yes, they absolutely do. Um, what we need is a sexy Santa controversy. I don't know that anybody needs that. Anyways, um, let's see. Ray says Brick actually broke that story for me. The Oni looks incredible. Um, Jason is a menace. Jason can do what he wants. I mean, that's the thing. At the end of the day, it's Jason's world, and we just live in it. So he had the images, and he wanted to share them, and um, I that's it. It's entirely his prerogative. So um, Alberto Morales says this one is off the hook. Absolutely, this is so. So from what I understand too, like I'm still I've stared at these renders, this sculpt for a lot longer than I probably should have. But there's texture. Everything is textured. Like the hair is textured on there, and then it'll sort of get painted over as well. But like everything has texture. I saw this sort of through the design process where everything was like smooth, and I was like, "Oh, that looks awesome." And he was like, "It's not even close to done." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" So Dan has put so much work into this, so much attention to detail. There's texture on the handle, there's texture on the woven part there, there's texture on the metal part. The rope is like rope texture, and then sort of that woven look. There's like fine detail work on the armband. Uh, like there's nothing on this figure that doesn't have ton a ton of work put into it, which is why it took Dan as long as it did. So I think when this thing is made, it's gonna be it's gonna be amazing. Anyways, Justin Mohan, will this come in different colors? You'll have to wait and see. You will have to wait and see. Jason is the best. He is. He really is. He drives me crazy sometimes, but as I said, that's just who he is. And yeah, the last pick has the measurements. Yes, we already showed that. So I'm behind in these comments. Sorry, let me try to jump ahead. Um, it would be nice to troop build this. Well, I mean, with the alternate head, you've already got 2 there. And if another color gets made and potentially, another alternative head gets made, you could have 4 of these. But keep in mind, the idea with this line is for every wave to have some type of demon, right? Whether it's an Oni, or some other type of like yokai or something like that. Um, you'll have to wait and see, but I think this line is gonna make figures that people have kind of wanted for a long time, that you kind of tend to see people make custom figures of, because there hasn't really been anybody doing these figures, to the best of my knowledge, and to the best of Dan's knowledge, and to the best of Jason's knowledge, I think. So I think this line is going to be pretty rad. Brick something says, to be fair, Jason runs Spiro. Absolutely. It was Tuesday, not Wednesday. Yes, he is a menace. Yeah, it's always fun working with Jason. I 100% respect the guy, and he works so hard. And and I've said this to him before, and I genuinely believe this. I don't think people know how hard he works, or how clever he really is. Um, um, and Brick says I suspect if Jason showed up to Monkey Businesses on time last Sunday, he would have shared it then. Maybe, but I wasn't looking to share it last Sunday. Like I said, Dan told me last Sunday that we couldn't share it yet, so I was pretty surprised when it got shared 2 days later. So anyway, Thanos says comics for Bushido. I don't think so. There's nothing confirmed right now. I mean, if I could foresee that if the response to the toy line was big enough that it could be there. Um, but at the moment, there's no plan of a comic book that I'm aware of. But ask Jason on Tuesday, and you might get a different answer. um, Justin Mohan says, "What other yokai will be in this line? I'm trying to find information about them, and there are lots. There are lots. There's so many fun ones. There's so many cool ones. You'll have to wait and see. We will not be spilling the beans, but um, Brick, you need to send that information to Jason because um we need to figure out how to make that part. I'll be perfectly honest. The tiger pelt thing um is intended to be soft goods. So what we're talking about here, this bit here is meant to be soft goods, and we just have to figure out if that's feasible, how that's feasible, who can make it. But that's the intention on that. So um yeah, absolutely made with love. So much passion. Dan has so much passion for this. Um and he's got so many like ideas for like what he wants to do with the line, and it's just a matter of like the reception of the line. So, go all in on the first wave. If you want extras, the samurai is technically kind of an army builder. This you could get two because of the heads. So, as I said, if the first wave is successful enough, then the second wave will start sooner rather than later. The comic book might become a reality if there's enough demand for it. So just sort of you hear it all the time, and it kind of sounds a little bit cliche, and it's a little bit, it does sound a little bit icky sometimes, but it's like vote with your wallet, right? um if this is something that you want, and you want, more Oni, more yokai, you want a comic book, just make sure that make sure that you're expressing that. Ray Pass says, so you say pre-orders. Do you mean pay in full at the time of pre-order, or will it be a charge when they release? I don't know exactly how that's going to work. I think it'll probably be like a prepaid thing. The idea with it being a pre-order rather than, a Kickstarter, for example, is more so that these are gonna get made, so we're not gonna wait for like a minimum order quantity. We're not gonna wait for a dollar threshold. Like we're gonna get started. Like we're getting started on them now, which means that the timeline should be tightened up a little bit more than you would with a typical Kickstarter. So Brian Carr says, looks like this is going to be a great line. I agree. I think this is going to be a fantastic line. I'm very, very excited about it. Will all the Oni be humanoid? You'll have to wait and see. Geek Fusion TV says, I know Jason is busy with everything, but he needs to get back to drawing the AWOK comic. I loved his art in the original book. Okay, so there's still more AWOK comics coming, of course, but Utama is doing the art for the main series, and I don't know if that's changing anytime soon. What Jason would like to do is some one shots, and I have suggested to him that he should do the art for one of the one shots, because I agree, I really like his art style as well. It's dramatically different from what we have in the current AWOK comics, but I think it would work well as a one shot, because that's often where you get that kind of thing, right? Like if you have continuity in the main line, you can do a one shot that's almost like a what if, or a one shot that's like a prequel, or a one shot that's just a character driven plot or something like that. So I don't know. I hope he does too. I would love to see him draw another book. Yeah, you guys always say Jason might leak something on a stream. Jason does. I don't. I don't leak things on streams. So, Brick says, on my stream, someone pointed out a similarity to Maestro Union's Immortal Legend Syuten Doji. It's on Big Bad Toy Store, to which I said, hell yeah, I want a Japanese folklore beasts collection. I will have to look that up. I am definitely not familiar with that. And so I'm going to have to look that up right now so I don't forget, because I will not remember this. Actually, I can star it. What am I thinking? Just star your comment. Come back to it after, so that I can keep moving. Justin says, don't forget my zombie question. Don't worry. I starred your zombie question. Four Horsemen use C. Jessam for cloth goods. They do, but he's very, very busy. And it's not even so much. Okay, so soft goods. So C. Jessam doesn't make the soft goods for Four Horsemen. C. Jessam does the prototypes, and then the prototypes are sent to the factory, and then the factory will replicate them. So we just have to figure out, like, we know what we want, and it's not that complicated. Like this would just be sort of a wrapped piece that would then just sort of be tacked or stitched together or whatever. It wouldn't even have to be wired, really, for what it is. So it's not a complicated piece. It's whether or not they can get the tiger print on it. That's the part that we're not 100% certain about. So Justin Mohan says, we don't need a comic. We can read some history and watch Demon Slayer. That's part of it, right? It's like, you know, I know that Dan is sort of, he's sort of got a framework for like the world. But there is that element, right? That a lot of this is like pulled out of, you know, Japanese folklore, and pulled out of Japanese history, and then kind of spun a little bit. So, you know, there is an element of like, these are the characters that, you know, I don't think every toy line has to have a comic. I love when toy lines have comics, but sometimes you get a line like this, like Mythic Legions is a good example. They don't have a comic, and I love that toy line. I buy tons of Mythic Legions despite there not being a comic. Would I buy more figures if there was a good comic? I probably would, but I think they're doing pretty well without a comic book. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. And that's, you know, the frayed edge on this is kind of sculpted to look like it's frayed, but it's more just, that's the fur, right? So if you're doing this as a furry soft good piece, I think it by default kind of looks frayed, if that makes sense. Yeah. Justin says Jason is taking a big risk by doing this. I don't know. I mean, the response has been really, really good to this. So I don't know that it's a huge risk. Like I said, there's not really much else in the market that I'm aware of that's going to be at this price point. So I think this line is going to be a hit. I'm not sure it's that much of a risk. Alberto says this Bushido line is the closest I will ever get to an Onimusha based line, so I'm in. And that's just the thing, right? Like there's a lot of people that are sort of seeing things in this line that they don't get elsewhere, and so I think that's why it's gonna do really well. Allison says, if we get all our moms to donate their tiger print tights, muumuus, and crop tops, we could definitely make soft goods. You're not wrong. I think the scale of the stripes is just the issue there. Brick says, we don't need full comics for this one. I'd like something like Motu mini comics, just a very short battle or encounter story to capture the imagination. And I kind of made a suggestion similar to that. And I said, you could even do it almost like web-based, where you could make it a downloadable thing, but you wouldn't even have to print it, you know, just do like a really minimal thing that basically is like, instead of a bio for the character, you could just have like a few pages. Anyway, more on that sort of as things get released, right? Scott Baker is here. What's going on, Scott? Good to have you, buddy. Solo Sinner, you and Brick should jump back into an AWOK lore episode in the new year, issue 5 coming out, and then next big arc begins. We actually have backlogged episodes that we just, that's never been released. So we have I think 2 episodes still backlogged. So yeah. Um, but I would love to. It's more a matter of, finding the time for it. Um, and we got ahead of ourselves, right? Because issue 5 hasn't even come out, and we were covering it quite a while ago. So Thanos says, I'm all in for wave 1 for sure. Happy to add this world to the collection. Yeah, me too. I'm all in on this, at least for wave 1. And from what I understand, I'm probably all in, all in. Um, the molds for the figures must be a lot to do. That's the risk. I hope it does well. There's always that risk, but to be perfectly honest, if you're smart and you can get reuse out of things, as I said, the Oni could be done in at least 2 other colors that I can think of off the top of my head. The Samurai could be done in 5, 6, 10 different versions with really, really simple, updates and changes to the helmet, to the colorways, maybe a different face unmasked, but it would be very, very easy to reuse that. All the bounty hunter parts are designed to be interchangeable with the samurai parts, and so there is sort of, the parts library is being built up by design there. So that's the thing. Any first wave is expensive. The second wave gets slightly less expensive if you're reusing, and then as you sort of reuse and sort of mix old parts in with new ones, it gets less expensive. Which is why I say, like, wave 1 is the really important wave, and if this wave goes well, then you'll see cooler and cooler stuff coming. So um that way, it's like yeah, Marvel motion comic would be really, really cool. I agree. um I don't think you did issue 3. I will point out right now that if you haven't already watched it, go watch part 1 of our interview with Utama. Part 2 coming soon. Um, Brick says, I think this line is actually less risky than AWOK in a few ways, broader appeal without the need for people to feel attached to a specific story. Action figure people want samurai, oni, yokai, etc. That is absolutely the reaction that we've gotten every time we've shown these off at cons, and every time we talk about this. We had people at the booth at Legion's Con that were literally walking up and saying, I don't really care about the monkeys and the cats, but I'm all in on these samurai. And I was like, well, no offense taken, but great, thanks. So I'm very, very excited about these, and I think I really do think that this line is probably a slam dunk. Speaking of lines that are slam dunks, moving on from this, because I could talk about Bushido way too much and for way too long. There was a reveal of the Toy Collectr Magazine cover. If you are not already subscribed to Toy Collectr, by all means, go over there and get it. If you're not, and you don't want to, that's fine. You can still go to Big Bad Toy Store and order individual issues, such as issue 15, which features a cover of Space Zombies from Mars. That's our toy line. We're doing it. We're on the cover of a magazine, which is pretty wild and pretty exciting. So there's the big reveal. I'm not gonna get too much into it. I like the tease. I like that people want to know more about this stuff. We basically told Blake from Toy Collectr Magazine that he would get the exclusive reveal of this, and so this magazine is printing and shipping, I think, in the next week or so. And once it's out there and people have sort of had the chance to read it, then we will be talking about this a little bit more. We'll be sort of revealing more of the images that we shared with Blake. But we sort of promised that we would let him have sort of first crack at it, because it's so much cooler to get something revealed in a magazine. Like, it just feels like there's like an old school appeal to that when this was even a possibility, we all three of us, at the Nameless Toy Company, which is the name of the company, all three of us agreed that we weren't going to show any of this stuff until it was in print. And so We actually thought that it was going to be in print in the next issue, issue 16. So this actually is a little bit sooner, which is good news for all of you guys, because that means if you're sort of chomping at the bit to get more Space Zombies from Mars news, Blake from Toy Collector Magazine is actually doing you a favor, because this is getting printed and sort of distributed now. And as soon as I sort of see it landing, the cat's out of the bag, so to speak, and we can sort of openly show the images and stuff like that, because it won't be sort of stepping on Toy Collector Magazine's toes, so to speak. But yeah, I am so incredibly like flattered and appreciative of the fact that like I even get to be involved in this, and shout out to Blake and Toy Collector Magazine for such a cool project. I mean, just to have a toy magazine is really really cool. And as I said, if you're not subscribed to Toy Collector Magazine, um take a look. And if you don't like print media or whatever, as I said, next time you're ordering toys on Big Bad Toy Store, they do have back issues. So grab a couple that maybe kind of speak to you, and support. You know, again, do whatever you want, but I mean, I think it's really really cool that Toy Collector Magazine exists in 2024, in a time when there are fewer and fewer magazines, let alone toy magazines. So shout out to them and thank you to them for showing this. Um, very very excited. Let me jump back into the comments here. I'm gonna just leave that up because it's awesome. Let's see. Brick says congratulations. Absolutely, it's just cool. Justin Mohan. Okay, this is not your. I don't think this is your first question. But will the zombies be other colors or just green? They'll just be green, and that's. I mean, it's on purpose because that way the parts are interchangeable. Um, there is one exception, and that we will hold off on sort of sharing probably till about the last minute. But there will be a Kickstarter exclusive zombie that will not be the same as the other zombies. I will tell you that much. Um, Ray Pass says, "Was that an alien?" I don't know. Was it? You'll have to wait and see. I mean, it is Mars, so there could be sort of something to it, right? There's um what you're saying is you guys are kind of a big deal now. No, we're not. That's I mean, now there's like real pressure, because now it's sort of like, okay, it's been on Toy Collector Magazine. If we can't follow through with sort of getting these figures in people's hands in a timely fashion, we're gonna look like total jerks. Um, Justin Mohan says Space Zombies from Mars is a very 1950s movie title. Will there be any 1950s influence in the designs? So what I've said about Space Zombies from Mars is it's sort of like in our modern times, but it's sort of our modern times through the lens of like 50s, 60s, 70s sci-fi, and sort of how they thought the world would be. So all the guns are like lasers. It definitely has that like 50s kind of space race feel to the astronauts and to other stuff. Um yeah, it's fun. Like it's going to be fun. We're doing a comic book. The writing for the comic book is basically done. Um and now it has to get, penciled and colored and lettered and all that kind of stuff. But the comic book is done. Um, it'll probably be a 32 page, or the plan is for it to be a 32-page comic book. So there's going to be sort of plenty in there. You're going to have a little bit of backstory to all the different sort of main characters and a bit of backstory to the bad guy and all that kind of stuff. And then we'll see where we go from there. But yeah, it's gonna be like a world that is familiar but feels a little anachronistic and kind of a little out of time. Um, um now I'm forgetting what it's called. There's a novel by Peter Klein, Paradox Bound, that has there's a little bit of that vibe in it, and I read that recently, and it was like it felt like there could have been zombies in that book. Actually, shout out to Peter Klein, who is a toy collector and also an author of really cool kind of sci-fi books. Go pick up a Peter Klein's book. I actually just finished another one of his books called The Fold, which was a trip too. Chris Bouchard says, "Congrats, the zombies look awesome. Thank you." Solo Sinner says, "Translucent zombie confirmed." It's not translucent. That didn't make sense. There's part of me that wants to do a translucent zombie, but it didn't. That didn't work, unfortunately. Let's see. Thanos says, "Will you guys do blood effect packs? I love what I have seen so far." Yes. Yes, we will. Justin Mohan, you had good questions here, and so I will bring these up. How will the Space Zombies line stay fresh and not just astronauts in spacesuits? I like the colorway shown. Okay, we will get into that. I'm telling you that we will get into that. That's sort of worked into the lore, and there are future designs for figures that aren't astronauts. However, launching Space Zombies from Mars, like basically the first sort of story within the lore occurs on Mars. So they're astronauts. So that's sort of why they're astronauts. Beyond that, you'll have to wait and see. Again, hate to say it, but it's sort of like, if you want to see more and you want to hear more, we have to get there. And the way that we will get there is if the first wave, if the Kickstarter is financially viable and successful, the success of the Kickstarter really determines when, the next wave, and sort of when the next designs go into production. So Kickstarter launches March 1st. I hope we do really, really well, really, really quickly, and we can sort of get into production sooner rather than later. And then we'll see where it goes from there. What I will say is this: the Nameless Toy Company, or TNT Co. for short, has the intentions of doing multiple lines. All of those lines will, in fact, take place in the same universe. So there will be crossover. There will be sort of plot points, plot threads that sort of carry from one line to another. But as I said, the other lines are dependent on this one being successful, and then we sort of build on the success. So there you go. I love the zombie shown. Will there be other space monsters? Made up monsters are cool too. Will the zombie line be space horror line? It's not a space horror line. I will say that it's not a space horror line. As far as other like aliens and things like that, probably for the time being, I'm gonna say no. It isn't. That's not the lore, I guess, is the easiest way to say it. Now, could we revisit space in the future? Maybe, and then maybe there's possibilities there. But for Space Zombies from Mars as a line specifically, the lore, it'll be a little more Earth based than that in the end. And Justin Mohan there, I think I answered that question too with the last one. Do you think the TNT company will expand beyond space zombies? Some pirates would be cool, like Pirates of Dark Water style. Maybe. And as I said, there is intention to do there's intention to do other lines, but those lines will it'll all fit. It'll all make sense. But we gotta start somewhere. We would love to do all of it right out of the gate, but that's just not how it works. So Justin Mohan says, I think Robo showed off the Kickstarter exclusive last week. I did he? I don't think he did. I didn't send him the pictures. Um and I don't think it's been shown anywhere. But now I can't remember. I'm gonna have to go back and watch. Maybe he did. Go watch that Robo and like that video and support Robo because he I was so flattered. He actually specifically asked me to send him more information about space zombies from Mars. Um, so that's that's something. Um, the blood effects would be cool. They are. Um, has Bill given any feedback? Not that I'm really aware of. Robo did know. Robo did not. Robo don't do that. Robo don't know. Yeah, Robo don't know about the Kickstarter exclusive. Is this the path the AWOK humans flee? I not as far as I know, but I mean that you could be onto something. All right. I said I was going to try to go an hour. I've already gone an hour and 22 minutes. I will do this one more time because I don't know if it's Gene says he was rocking the Space Zombies t-shirt for his Legions Con playdate. He absolutely was, and I was like floored when I saw that. I was like, I mean, we think it's cool, and we hope that other people think it's cool. We hope that enough other people think it's a cool idea and a cool line, that we can make the toys. So stay tuned for more on that. As I said, it's such a pleasure to be sort of doing it, and it's crazy. It's a wild ride, but more details, soon. Like I said, once the magazine is sort of out there and people have it in hand, we'll be sharing more. We'll be sort of talking more about the sculpts. We'll be talking more about the characters. We'll be talking more about the design. What parts come off, what parts are interchangeable, all that kind of stuff. So stay tuned for that. However, today, as I said, I'm wrapping up now. And what I would strongly recommend is that you guys jump from here over to the Toying Around stream. They're doing their 24-hour live stream fundraiser for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. All the donations go straight to that. There's like a link, so it's not even it's not even like a YouTube super chat thing. Like if you donate $10, your $10 goes to the charity. If you donate $10 too, your name can sort of go in for a bunch of prizes that they've got, and they've got some crazy good prizes with all different toy lines and gift cards and I think if they unlock it, so I think at like $7,300 raised, it unlocks a giant man, a HasLab giant man. So get over there, and if you got a few extra dollars this holiday season, go donate it to St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. It's a very good cause, and yeah. And yeah, if you missed it, if you missed it and you weren't aware, Brick's not doing the news after this. Brick already did the news with Rob Zamora this morning. So go check that out. The Rob Zamora is a cool dude, and it was a good episode. So check it out if you haven't already. All right, guys, it's been a pleasure. As I said, more news on zombies soon. Pre-orders for the Bushido line should go up soon. Spiro Toys is going to have a sale starting Wednesday. So if you've got any money left from Black Friday, or if you missed the Black Friday sale, it's going to be a great opportunity to pick up some more cool stuff. But for now, I am out of here. I'll be back next week Talk to you guys later. Bye bye.